Welcome back, viewers, to another Core 4 discussion. I am the host today, Danny, and I would like to have the other ladies introduce themselves. Candace, say hello to the viewers.
Hello.
Mika, let's say hello to the peeps.
Hello.
And our lovely Erica, say hello to the folks.
Hey, hey, hey.
So today we are here to talk about the Celebrants.
Happy Pride.
Yay, yay.
Bride.
Yes, we wanted to get this video out in the month of June because I'm sure you've noticed that there are two videos this month, which is very unnormal for us. But we wanted to get this book out there because it does have legitimate qua representation. So, The Celebrants is about a group of five college friends, Jordan and Jordy. They are husbands. We have Naomi, Craig, and Marielle, or Marielle. I believe it's Marielle. They enact a pact to reunite and pretty much throw living funerals for one another after they tragically lost their sixth member of the group, and his name was Alec. This pact was formed for two reasons, really. The first reason was to serve as a reminder that life is worth living, which we can all use that sometimes. And the second reason is to let the ones you love know the positive impact they had on your life while you're still here. So you're not leaving them in this state of wonder. What did you all rate the book and what did you think about the book? Let's start with you, Erica. How did you feel about it?
I went in initially and I was like, oh God, is it gonna be like super sad? But after I got started, it was really good. I really related to a lot of the characters. So I think that if I rated books, I would definitely give it like a 4. It was good. I guess we'll talk about that more. But I had good points and it made me text like my college friends and be like, miss me, heifers. you know, y'all miss me yet? I miss y'all.
Took
Read the
you
back of
back
this book and let's do that.
took you back to the college days, eh?
It did. Auntie is old.
I'm not auntie is old. Auntie is seasoned, okay? Like a very well seasoned steak.
Yes.
Delicious. All right, Mika, what did you think about the book and what was your rating?
Okay, so my rating was I gave it 3 stars. It's not actually 3 stars, but that is the only place that I could land because 2 was too low and 4 was too high. I was so disconnected from the book, except for the Jordans. I really felt like the book, it didn't really need to be shorter, but the parts that focused on the other characters, I needed that to be shorter. And I needed the Jordan's parts to be longer because as soon as he started talking about them, I actually felt connected to it. And I was boohooing by the end of the book. Like the Jordan's parts are 5s and everything else is a 1. So that's how we got a 3.
Not it having you boo me.
It did. I was so emotional. I was like, oh my God. I genuinely do hate the fact that they had the same name, but I also think if he had made them the main characters and given them more of that characterization, it wouldn't have even mattered that they had the same name because that was the thing that was the most confusing to me. It was just like, oh, you haven't differentiated these gay men enough, or I don't even think one of them is fully gay. I think one is bisexual and the other is gay, but I wouldn't really be able to tell you that because you've been playing in my face this whole
Well, okay then. Candace, what are your thoughts and what are your ratings?
My thoughts. I gave the book 5 because I'm still in a grieving spell. It really touched my heart deeply. Even to the point where I called my best friend. I was like, bestie. I said, if I send you a message, which I will be before the end of the month, I'm not dying. It's just I want to let you know that I how much I care about you and whatnot. I love the fact that they did celebrate each other's lives now instead of waiting to the very last minute. So it truly meant well to me. I gave the book 5 stars because it's hitting on the grief, the chosen family, and learn how to say that I love you now versus later
So this book, it helped you pull a realization of yourself that you want to express
to
love
other
to
people.
those while you can.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I will say, yes, I was crying big
Oh,
time.
everybody was boo-hooing. Oh, yeah. We got two boo-hoos. All right. I would say for this book, I haven't rated it yet. I just didn't get the chance because I just finished it not too long ago and I wanted to sit with it. But the longer I sit with it, the more that this book feels like a five for me. I had a really good time with it, but I tend to enjoy Steve Rowley quite a bit. I've read his other two books, The Gunkle, and I forgot the second book's name. But I had a good time with those books as well. I rated The Gunkle a five. I really admired the lessons of the book because, we do often get caught up in the hustle and bustle of life and we move through the years and, we hit that brick wall once we get that phone call, right? That phone call that nobody ever wants to get when you find out that your loved one has passed away. So I felt like this book served as like a real good reminder. And I feel like Candace, you pretty much just confirmed that feeling that I had as far as the book serving as that reminder to share how much you care about people while you are still here. I know we tend to always say, like, love on others while they're still here. That's also a beautiful thing. But I feel like we do tend to forget to love ourselves before our time is up. And by the time our time is up, then it's too late. I really had a good time and I also enjoy the humor in this book. I found myself laughing out loud quite a few times. And I think that that was the balance that this book needed. It needed that humor to help offset that heavy grieving morning those morning topics and different things like that. I liked it. I had a good time. As I was reading the text, there were quite a few things that I picked up on, a few themes. And those themes are grief, addiction, secrecy, friendship, consent, self reflection, health and wellness, familial relationships, and tradition. Before we get into the story itself, let's talk about the whole idea of throwing living funerals. What did you all think initially about them coming up with this agreement to conduct these living funerals? Like, what did you think about it when you were first introduced to the idea?
As someone who has experienced a tremendous amount of death over my, short 43 years, I actually thought it was good. Um, I think sometimes you need what the cool kids say, somebody to put that battery in your pack and kind of re-energize you, and realizing what you've done for others really does do that for you. I always say, that I'm the light and that people come to me like when they're in their darkest place or whatever. So everybody's like a season. And one of the lines that they said in there was, one candle can light 1,000 candles, but it never dims away from their darkness. And I think that people need to remember how you've lit their candle, because sometimes your own flame puckers out, You pouring from this cup and you just pouring and pouring and pouring. And sometimes it's empty. And you need that reminder, like, damn, okay, I'm that girl because I helped my friend. My friend does love me. My friend does see me. My friend does understand me. They see all the hard work I'm doing. They see the changes I'm making. They see the growth. So I thought it was a really great idea. Like I said, I text the college crew like, hey, help read this.
Beautiful.
Um, it was probably my second time hearing about living funerals because maybe last year or the year before that I read this book about it was just a book about death, period. I'm kind of fascinated with death and dying and all kinds of things, but it was just a whole lot of different things. And living funerals happened to be one of them where, the person would have their funeral and they would attend. And it was like a way to, normally it was a way to celebrate their life before they were gone so that it wasn't something that people had to do a lot of once they were gone. Like that kind of whole thing help you reckon with death. And I think that it's cool as somebody who is very comfortable with death as a concept. It doesn't bother me, and I do wish that I wish for people to have more comfort with it and to understand better what grief is and the fact that there's no time limit, there's no expiration date. you more so learn to live with grief as opposed to getting over it. So like these funerals are not the end all be all of your sadness, and nobody can tell you how long you get to be as sad as you are, or if you go the next 10 years and everything's fine, and then you just have a really bad day and you're grieving all over again. So I like the idea. I really, really like the idea. And I enjoyed that they all got to invoke their own funerals. Like I kind of decide when I die, which is a really cool concept. At least like my kind of spiritual death, if you will. It was really interesting. I like the idea so much.
I love that.
I never heard of a living funeral. So that caught me off guard. But once they start describing, like everybody, each one had their own funeral, it was like, so it's like somewhat of a party, but at the same time, we're loving on you while you're here. So I said, that's dope. And then I called my bestie. I told her, I said, hey V, we're gonna do this. And she was like, yeah. She's like, most definitely. I said, so we're gonna plan this soon because she just had death in her family. And I said, we need to do this ASAP. So most definitely I could see myself doing that with our group, which speaking of which, we need to go on ahead and plan ours. But I most definitely would do that with other people. I would have to break that down to my brothers, but they're weird. But anyway, because I want them to realize, no, we're not celebrating death. We're going to celebrate your life now while we have the chance. Because at the same time, the funeral may not be all kicks and giggles. We may be having some real live discussion like, bro, I don't like you because of such and such, such and such. Or sis, you get on my nerves when you did this, that, and the third, but I still love you. Real truth will come out. But at the same time, we can still heal and go on ahead and live. And then
Now
when
wait a minute.
what? Yeah, look, we can heal.
Are you
Look,
supposed to be? You're not supposed to be telling them about how they get on your nerves. You're supposed to be hyping them up.
honey, I mean, they could tell me how I got on their nerves. Like, sis, you thought you was my mama. And I just wanted to go through life doing what I wanted to do. And I didn't need you to be mama bear. I just need you to be my sister. And I'd be like, yeah, whatever, I still had to be your mama.
You can't talk at your own funeral.
Oh yeah, that's what
It
one
sounds
of them
like
said.
maybe y'all need to go to therapy.
Right. That's
Well, we can have
different.
therapy at the funeral too. I mean, we can have it all.
Therapeutic.
The
And
Okay.
then y'all
therapeutic
Okay.
might need to
funeral.
go to therapy a lot.
But at the end of the day, I think that's a wonderful idea. I think a lot of people should take that approach.
Okay. I like that for you, it actually became like this force to push you to be like, hey, you know what? There are things that I want to tell people, and there are things that I want people to tell me. And let's do this shit for real, you know? So I like that it pushed that for you. I think that's a beautiful thing. Well, as far as my thoughts on it, I really thought that it was a cool idea and a cool concept because again, the clock of life ticks on and ticks on until it doesn't anymore. And you do tend to have these regrets of, I wish I would have said this. I wish I would have done that. I wish we would have hung out more. You have all of these different regrets when you find out somebody that you care about has passed on. And I think that this is a great way to not feel those things when that person passes away. I mean, I don't know if you can feel anything when you pass on. I don't know what's after this. But if there is a possibility where you have some type of consciousness, I guess, on the other side, that it also helps you to not have those regrets of I wish that I would have. So I do love the idea of having a get together and celebrating the people around you and to have those same people pour into you because that was the point of the living funerals, which they end up calling themselves the celebrants, right? Because they want to celebrate the person who calls and says, hey, I'm going through this and I need to be poured into. Like the person who makes the call or the person who's going through a struggle in life, they're the ones who the funeral is for. It serves as a reminder to them life is worth living. I also feel like just to play off of Mika's point that she made earlier with how some people are actually afraid when it comes to death and dying and grief and mourning. I think that when you do things like this, having living funerals and whatnot, it can actually help to alleviate that thanatophobia that a lot of people may have, because it is a huge fear of not knowing what's on the other side, and maybe other fears of not feeling like you did enough while you were here. So I do think that that could help with that as well. A form of healing, like you all said, if you will. So yeah, I think I love the concept of it. So in the very beginning of the story, it opens up with us being introduced to the friends. You kind of get an idea of each of their personalities in a very, very small snippet way. Like you have Marielle with her cats, and you have Naomi fighting with the TV remote batteries, and Craig over there squinting real hard because he can't see real well, like he's looking at a menu. So you kind of get introduction to all of these characters. You also find out that Jordan was the one who summoned them all, and they don't know why just yet. Everyone has had their funerals already except for Jordy and Jordan. With Jordan, it comes out that he is basically saying that this particular living funeral isn't something that's going to be like a pick me up like the funerals of the other people that had already taken place. It's an actual goodbye because he was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and it pretty much became aggressive and it spread throughout his body. So he's pretty much counting down the days until he passes away. And his friends, like I said, are currently unaware of that. We also get a little introduction to who Alec is, which is the friend that passes away in the very beginning. We get an introduction to who he is. What did you think about the first two chapters, and what expectations did it set for you for the rest of the novel?
Um, I actually liked the indirect characterization where you just kind of learned from the people through their quirks. That's actually one of my best ways to fall in love with the character. When I can start to see the nuance and the difference and listen for like, oh, she a little cheeky. Okay, I see what this gonna be. Like I said, I was just really intrigued just because I can relate to that experience of going to college, hanging with these people, and literally knowing what you ate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and falling apart, but coming together like nothing has changed. I was just really excited, and I was really interested to know what secrets were gonna come out because in friend groups, there's always a secret, that's gonna be like, okay,
Mhm.
y'all, I'm about to tell y'all. So I just thought I was looking forward to it.
Oh, you was
After
ready
I
to,
got over the hump of being sad.
so you were ready to be all up in their business,
I was, I'm nosy, messy, messy boots, honey, but not malicious.
but
Messy,
not
not
malicious.
malicious. Okay.
Yes, not gonna lie. I got very intrigued about Marielle's cats. So I dove into is this really a real thing about cats being born with no eyes or without eyes or whatnot? And so I did learn something about that. But then, like Erica said, I am a little nosy. I was ready to find out what was going on. But my true thing that I wanted to know was what was Alec really like? I wanted to know what Alec was like because he wasn't there. Okay, I'm seeing everybody else's and people are saying snippets about him, but I wanted to know, what was he sneaky? What was he doing? Was he a
Mhm.
hoe? Was he a druggie? I mean, how did he die? I want to know. I mean, did he was he in a car accident? So I wanted to get to the bottom. I was trying to be the investigator. I need to find out.
Come
That
through
was
with your,
how I was. I was like, I gotta find out what's going on with Alec.
all
Hmm.
right, come through on your Sherlock Holmes energy.
Thank you.
I think for me, I felt like Danny for the first time in my life in a long time. I feel like I was thrown into a world and I didn't know anything and I didn't know what was going on. And I was just confused the whole time. I'm like, who are these people? What is going on? Why am I supposed to care about this? Who is Alec? Who is this? Who is that? I was so lost. in the beginning. You would think that I was reading like a hardcore fantasy book or something. The way I could not pick up who was who or what was what. It was truly bad. It's so terrible. Eventually I kind of got it a little bit, and I was like, okay, so it's a group of people and one of them is dead. We're all very sad. The sadness was palpable. I appreciated that. I think what came through for me more than like character separation, it was the emotions. Emotionally, it felt very authentic, and I was at least able to pick up on that. But I definitely was confused as fuck for so long, and that is so new for me. I was like, "Is this how other people?"
Yeah, me with sci-fi.
Terrible. I'm so sorry for it.
Girl, I be on the struggle bus, but you know what? Sometimes I'm the speed bump, sometimes I'm the driver. It just depends.
I definitely felt like a speed.
All right. Well, as we read more about the Jordans in the very beginning, we also find out that Jordan didn't necessarily believe in the pact. He found it quite silly in the beginning. We find that out through a conversation he's having with his husband. But at the same time, he expresses that he wants to invoke the pact, right? When Jordy is kind of wondering why, because he's like, I didn't think you really believed in it. Jordan basically says that needing it and believing it are two different things. He wanted to have that moment with his friends and his husband. So when you all found that out about Jordan, did that sentiment make sense to you about him not believing it, but needing it?
I think so, because I think there's a lot of things that we do in life. We do them because they're like rituals, or like it's something that you've always done. You don't know why it feels good or it feels right, but it just does, and so you do it. No matter what they're calling it, it's just a bunch of friends getting together to celebrate the people that they love when they need to be celebrated the most. And I think you could recognize that same type of togetherness in a bunch of different avenues. Like even your birthday could be considered something similar like that. When people genuinely care about you and they just come together to celebrate you on your day. It's a very similar thing. It just had a kind of kooky connection to it with the whole living funeral aspect.
Mm.
But I think if he was able to put it into different terms, it would have been like, oh, we've always done this. We just haven't always called it this.
I would say now for a person, and I'm just going off of thinking, especially if I know that my better half believe in this pack or believe in the afterlife or whatnot. Um, if I know that I don't believe in it and I want to give them some type of peace, I can see why he said he called the pack. Especially if you love your significant other and you don't want them to be alone, you don't want him or her to grieve or have a this long grieving process. Let's go on ahead and have a celebration with each other now. Yes, I know you're going to grieve, regardless, because if you truly love me, yes, you are going to grieve. But to help ease the pain and let me show you how I care about you, or let me see how much you care about me, vice versa, that can start the healing or that can start mending the grieving process. If I knew that my sister was going to pass a year ago, I would have done a couple things different. I would have held her a little bit tighter. When I was reading the book, it made me think, okay, did my sister know the last time she hugged me when she held me so tight? Did she realize that this was the last hug she was going to give me?
Hmm.
So once I thought about what Stephen was writing about, I was like, well, dog, I mean, it makes sense. I said, because again, I want that hug. I will never forget that strong hug that my sister gave me, nor hear her say, Prel, I love you. Sorry, try not to cry. But I can understand because that can start helping a person heal in the early stage of grieving.
Absolutely.
I think that, like I said, I've experienced a tremendous amount of death, a tremendous amount of grief in my life. And I think that is why I am so open with my love now. I don't want anyone to walk away from an experience with me and not know that I fuck with you heavy. You know what I'm saying? I think that you can need it because I don't necessarily need like believe in work, but I need it. I need money. I need to survive. You know what I'm saying? So I can need to get with my friends, but not necessarily need to be the one that's picked up that month, that week, that year. So I definitely believe that you can not believe in something, but also still need it.
Mhm. I think when I read that part, it basically made me think it may not necessarily be the fact that I believe in living funerals per se, but I believe in the feelings that come with having that get together with your friends so that you can have those moments of expression, right? And I think that maybe he didn't necessarily believe in the title of which they called this thing, but he believed in and needed the energy that this particular event can bring forth for each and every one of them. So, yeah, I agree with everything you all have said. I think that it makes perfect sense of him saying, no, I don't necessarily believe in, but yes, I do need. All right, so when we flip the page, we are thrown back in time to 1995. We meet the friends after they've actually attended Alex's real funeral. They're all currently grieving, and we also find out how young they all are because it came out that Alex was only 22 when he passed away. And this is when we kind of get to know Alec a bit through them and their conversations. And we find out that Alec fell victim to his substance use disorder, right? Based off of the conversations that we witnessed, did you feel like the author gave enough information and characterization to help you feel like you kind of knew him?
I feel like Alec was more of a character than 90% of the rest of the cast. And I love that. I didn't enjoy that I didn't feel like I knew everyone else because I couldn't remember how many of them there were for a very long time. I had to rank them. I think Marielle and Craig got it the worst. Naomi, I really enjoyed Naomi's chapter. I'll put it like that. And I really enjoyed Alex's chapter, even though he wasn't there. You got such a sense of him as a character. You could feel the hole that he left in their friend group. And you could always feel that. Even later on, as they get older, as they have kids, as they go to prison, shit like that. You can feel the hole that he left behind. I think it's dope whenever an author can do that, when they can create a character where there is no character, like the character's dead, or the character is a city, or the character is a school. It's not actually a character, but it is a character.
Hmm.
That was one of my favorite aspects because he was always looming large. He always kind of felt like a ghost in the corner. I liked him.
Nice, nice.
I feel like the celebrant was because of Alec. If Alec was still alive, there wouldn't have been a celebration. So to me, I felt Alec was, like Mika said, a ghost in the corner, just sitting around, or you could say a fly, sitting in the corner or on the wall, looking at everyone's life. I feel like he played a major part of the book, even though he wasn't a true figure. Because of him, a lot of their lives have changed. I mean, they went through a lot. They even felt like they've seen him going through their everyday lives. So yes, I feel like Alec was a major part of the story.
Yeah, he absolutely was a huge part of the story because, like you said, if it wasn't for him passing away, they wouldn't have come up with this idea of having living funerals. But as a reader in the initial Alec chapter, did you feel like you were able to get to know him?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, I wanted to know what else was he doing. Did he ever go to class? I mean, seriously, you're on the floor just chilling. Did you ever do homework besides just party? Like to go out to your favorite little hangout spot? I mean, get
I
high.
think Alec would have been cool. I think he would have been fun to know. I also think he would have also caused him a lot of heartbreak later on in life.
Most definitely, because he was a player too, baby.
Yeah,
In the
my
first
my
part, they said he was getting around.
my guy was hoeing. He was
Yeah, I'm trying to figure
drugging.
out.
He
Was
was
it AIDS or
drinking.
drugs?
He reminds me of this character from this movie called Camp. Um, and it's like kind of almost unrelated, but there's this character in this movie and is he just kind of does things, he does what's expected of him. So even at one point he I think makes out with his gay male best friend, and it's genuinely because he wants to be what his friend wants him to be. Those type of chameleon people who are among us, they're so interesting. Like that psyche of I'm the life of the party because I know what people want and I know how to deliver that. I eat them up, but I don't want them nowhere near me because they cause a whole lot of problems and need a whole lot of therapy. But he put me in the mind of that. I thought about Alec a lot, I think.
I really liked Alec. Like I said, the author did a really good job with that indirect characterization where you just learn through others and learn through circumstance, learns through their response to things. And I think that he was multifaceted. I wouldn't necessarily characterize it in like he wouldn't be able to change as he got older because they all did ultimately. I mean, at your core, you are still that same person, but you do grow and change and are able to kind of get out of that. But I really did like him. I think he was fun. I would have hung out with him. He would have been my friend. Like we would have been friends.
I'm glad that you all had the same experience that I did when it came to being introduced to Alec, even though we were introduced to him through the eyes of others, right? Through his friends and whatnot, and what they and their stories and their memories. I did feel like I got to get an idea of the type of person Alec was, and it was very obvious that he was a very important, person to all of them in different ways, right? And him passing away, it did cause a void and this emptiness within the friend group, which makes sense because if it's six of you and all of a sudden it's five, there's always going to be that energy that that person brought that's missing now. So, yeah, I think the author did a great job of telling us who Alex was for the most part. Now, there was a quote that stood out to me a little bit, and the quote was, they'd all had memories of him that made them smile in spite of their pain, memories that made them feel guilty for enjoying them so soon after him passing. There would be time for that later, for reminiscing with a smile, but shouldn't now be the time for pain? That brought up the question for me. We know that grief and mourning isn't a one size fits all situation for people. But why do you think we all still have these expectations when it comes to mourning?
I'm gonna say this because I'm fresh in my still in my morning. Um, I would say people put a whole lot of pressure or give you a time on how long you should grieve, how long you should be happy, how long you should stay in your deep down in the dump. No, you don't know. Every person deals with grief, happiness, devastation, everything different. I may not grieve the way Erica grieves. I may not grieve how my dad grieves. So you can't be upset because you see someone laughing or smiling. That's how they may be dealing with their grief. Because I'm still in pain. I don't expect you to be in pain. Just like on my sister's birthday. Excuse me, I'm gonna back up. On my sister's 1 year anniversary, I checked on my siblings, and I sat back and I said, "Well, or were they gonna check on me? Is anybody gonna check on me to see if I'm fine? I can't make nobody stop what they're doing to see how Candace is doing." So I dealt with it in my own way. They were happy, they were fine. I'm not going to make them go into a crying spell. Prime example, my sister called me on my mom's birthday years ago, and she was in a moment. And I said, Sharonda, don't call me. You don't want to call nobody early in the morning talking about, sis, how you doing? Well, I just woke up. I'm doing fine. But it's mom. I know it's mama's death, but I'm not, I've healed, so I can't cry. I may cry later on, but right now, like a year ago, I couldn't cry at the drop of the dime. But like I told my sister, I said, and I had to eat my own words. I had to make sure, number one, when I call my siblings or my dad, that I'm not going to throw them into that crying spell or into that emotional spell. Because if they're not there, I don't want to bring them there. But now, if they're going to feed into my soul, I'm going to accept it, and then I'm going to pick up and go. People put time limits on grief, and I'm not going to tell you not to cry if you miss your brother or sister. I'm not going to tell you not to cry if you miss your mom and daddy. Yes, they can be dead and gone 50 years ago, but that's your mother and that's your father. You only get one of them. They're not replaceable. So I'm not going to tell you when to grieve. I'm not going to tell you to smile if it's at the weirdest. I'm not going to tell you not to smile if it's in the weirdest moment. I'm just going to look at you like you're crazy. But I must say you're dealing with it the best way you know how. I can't tell you how to grieve, and I'm not going to. Sorry, that's my soapbox.
I think when it comes to the expectations around what we know is like the history of mourning culture and just, the wearing all black and not leaving the house, and different cultures have things like, covering up the windows, covering up the mirrors. Like, I believe one culture, and I think it might be Jewish people, and I don't want to get this wrong, so I'm not going to say 100% sure like that this is how it goes. But I know they like the family stays in the house for a certain amount of time, and I believe they don't have visitors. They don't like go out, and they don't allow certain people in. It's like a remembrance for the direct family and stuff like that. So there's all kinds of culture and different ways of dealing with death, but so much of it has to do with sadness. But that's not the only way. And Danny, you'll know this because you're from New Orleans. And in New Orleans, funerals are handled in a much different way. And there is a lot more celebration of life and celebration, period. New Orleans is not the only place that does this, but because it's rare that that's how people, when others go there and they experience that for the first time, it's like, this is not how you grieve. Well, this is not how you grieve,
Mm-hmm.
but it's how we grieve. It's the way we've learned to deal with things. And for me, I would prefer to remember the happy moments because the sadness is going to be there regardless. I can laugh, I can be happy, I can enjoy my life. That's not going to make me less sad. It's not going to make me miss them any less. A lot of the time, it makes you miss them more because I'm experiencing these amazing things. Maybe I did something that they were hoping I would do. I achieved something that I knew that they would be proud of, and I don't have them here to share it with me. That makes me miss them even more. That doesn't mean that I shouldn't celebrate, because if they were here, would they be celebrating me or would they be crying and we just sitting there crying together? I think there's a time and there's a place for all of it, all of the emotions, but only you get to decide what that is. No one else has anything to do with that. And you'll never stop grieving. It's just not how that works. It's very unfortunate. Grief stays with you for a lifetime, the same way that your people stay with you for a lifetime. Like that's your people. You love them. There's a whole lot of investment there. It's not the same with strangers. When you hear about a stranger passing, it's just like, well, damn, I feel bad for their family because I know how that will hit them and how they'll never be the same. It's the same for you and your family.
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, whenever people pass and I care about them, I do cry. It's not usually my original reaction. I normally laugh and it always throws people off because I just can't help myself. It's just, I'm like, damn, you died. That's crazy.
Oh my goodness.
and no one gets it, but what always comes to my mind first is like one of my happiest memories with that person. So I feel joy to have known them versus sadness to have lost them. And a lot of people don't understand that reaction. And I accept it because, that's not how we're raised. But yeah, you can have all kinds of reactions to death. It's just what our culture is sadness and dreary and blah, blah, blah. Everybody must be Eeyore at all times. But that's not true.
Very true. I remember growing up, I always heard my family say, you cry when they're born, but you celebrate when they leave. And it's because when you're born, you know that life is going to be hard, right? Life is not easy for anybody. Well, if you have billions of dollars, maybe it is a bit easier for you. But, for the average person, life is tough, and everybody does have a battle that other people don't know that they're fighting, right? So that saying basically says, like, we know life is going to be hard. This child is being born and they have a long way to go, and they have a lot of situations that they're going to deal with that are going to be heartbreaking and that may be traumatic, and these different things. But when a person passes on, their journey is done. They've completed it and they're free from it. They're free from the physical vessel that their soul lives in. I do remember growing up hearing that a lot, and I do appreciate my culture being from New Orleans. The way we celebrate death is a really beautiful thing, and being in it, witnessing it, feeling it, it's a powerful experience to find joy in moments like that, and finding joy in the memories, and sharing the love and loving on this individual who has transitioned. It really opens up the door for you to love on the other members of the family or even friends of the family as well. So it opens up that opportunity for us to all express, you know what, we love this person, but since you're here, I'm gonna show you how much I love you too. So I feel like I was very lucky to be born in such a beautiful culture. New Orleans for life, okay?
I think so too. The first time I saw like a New Orleans funeral, it was the first time I actually felt like people were doing with death the thing that I would like to do with death. The first death I remember was my great grandmother, and she had been sick for so long that it was just like when she finally died, I was relieved. I'm like, God damn, finally, shit.
Mm-hmm.
It
No more
wasn't,
pain, no more
yeah,
suffering.
I didn't feel like I would love to keep her here, because there was the realistic side of my brain that always told me to keep her with me was to keep her suffering, and I could never wish that for her. So I felt sadness because I wouldn't get to spend that time with her physically again. But I also just felt relief. I felt glad that she wasn't suffering anymore. And I was just like, I just want to celebrate her life. Like, I want to live my life in a way that would make her proud and, give her stories to laugh about, like her crazy great grandchild. I want that for her. I don't want to spend the rest of my life sad that she's not here because I'm going to be sad regardless, but I can choose to be something else too. And
Mm-hmm.
I appreciated that.
Now, agreed.
Well, I think y'all kind of all, said it. People want you to move on when they want you to move on, and they want you to handle it the way that they handle it, and it doesn't happen that way. So we sometimes feel like we need to be performative. When my sister passed, it was the most devastating thing in my life, since my mother passing, right? And it it was what it was, but I laughed every day. I cried every day, but I also laughed every day. And I also said something smart to her every day because come babysit your nephew. Why are you going? You supposed to come get your kid, bro. So I still have those moments. I just think, like you said, it's like passed down. It's taught when you work like with little kids and you hear how each of them do like respond to death in such different ways. It's taught. You know what basically, that's all I can say. It's taught. You see it, you mirror it, you try to mirror it or whatever. If that's the only way, not knowing like it's okay for me to try something else.
Mm-hmm.
That
It
makes
is
sense.
okay for me to try something else.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to grief and mourning, it's uncomfortable for a lot of people and they really don't know what to say. For those who are going through it, they don't really know what to say, right? That's why we kind of lean on these cliches of I can't think of one right now. My brain just farted. But y'all know the cliches that come out.
They're in a better place.
Yeah, like those things. Like we come out with those cliched statements because we really don't know what to say. Most people don't. I feel like these expectations come from it because it's a form of comfort in a time of discomfort for those who are on the outside looking in. So I think that that's why we have these weird ass expectations because it's like you're supposed to feel this way, and if you feel this way, I'm comfortable because that's the norm. But if you do something
Mhm.
else, it's odd. I don't know how to accept this, even though it's something that you don't even have to accept because it has nothing to do with you.
100%. My favorite way to react to people dying is just like, damn. Because that's it. All I'm doing is reacting. I'm not telling you anything or asking you anything. I'm just here. And you let me know what you might need from me so I can do that. But there's 9 times out of 10 nothing that I can offer you that's going to make this like better. I can be here with you. And I hope I can help you get through it, and make your days better or easier if better is not an option.
Support them through.
Yes,
Yeah.
I can help. I can't deliver you to the other side of it. If we could, we would, but we can't because grief is a personal thing that everybody has to go through. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. Very true. It's part of life. While we are with the friends in this house after Alex's funeral, we get to follow Marielle. I want Marielle. Lord, I keep calling that girl Marielle. We follow Marielle and we see her tiptoeing to Craig's room.
Yeah, bro. I was like, really?
And they
Really?
and they end up hooking up, right?
Mm.
So just on the topic of what we just talked about as far as what grief and mourning can look like, that
She just needed some comfort, honey. She needed some comfort. She needed some skin to skin comfort.
well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
she
like
was
we
hurting.
said earlier, there's not a right or wrong way necessarily to go through these feelings and emotions. And in that moment, sex was the outlet.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
Mm.
but it also brought forth a very interesting question for me. We know that when you are in such vulnerable mindsets, right? Like when you are in a moment of grief, you're not necessarily thinking things through clearly, right? It can fog your judgment. Do you feel like people who are going through grief, are they really able to consent to certain things?
I definitely think they are. I think it's more of I might regret this when I'm no longer in this state, but I don't think I don't think that it's usually like a I don't know what I'm doing kind of thing. Now for some people they do have those blackouts where it's just like, I lost the only thing I had in the world. I have no clue what is going on. So like that psychosis that can be caused by grief. But most people don't go through that. That's more of a rare thing that happens. So I think you can. You just a lot of the time you make choices that you wouldn't often make because you're more so reacting than you are like just going about your normal life. Kind of doing anything to not feel the way that you feel as opposed to thinking things through. I don't think so, but I definitely do think that it's a great time to pause and reflect. Let's think about this.
I'm going to say that you can absolutely consent if there are no other substances involved. If you are just grieving and you need an outlet, you can consent. You, like Mika said, you may regret the fuck out of it. But grief is a hell of a drug. And that's all I got to say about that.
I'm going to say the same thing because grief by itself is, like Eric said, it's a hell of a drug. You can go through blackout moments. You can forget certain things, or may have said yes to something and didn't realize that you said yes to, or a commitment, said yes to a commitment and then totally forget about it. So yes, I have been in both my mother's death and my sister's death. I have been in those moments. And then somebody had to tell me, hey, you did say yes. I'm like, oh, snap. But they said, don't worry about it because we took care of it. But yes, yes, I
Okay.
can say that. Most definitely.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I agree with what you all have said. So I'm not going to repeat because I agree with everything.
I do know that grief sex is a thing, though.
It
As your
absolutely is a thing.
resident asexual, it's not a thing for me and my family, but it might be a thing for you and yours. And it's so bizarre to me, but it's one of those things I'm just like, okay, because maybe you feel disconnected after the death of whoever, and you just want to connect to someone. And on that level, I can totally understand thinking that this might be the strongest connection, the quickest, right? It's much easier than going to find like a deep emotional connection, and you probably don't want to go that deep into your emotions anyway. So it's like, what can I do that's connecting? It's quick, it's easy, bonus, there's gonna be some pleasure on top. Bam, coitus.
Yeah, I think it also offers a break as well. I've had these emotions and I'm feeling this pain right now, and I want to break from it, and I want to feel something else that can also probably play a part in it as well.
Pleasure is a powerful thing.
Mhm.
You are right on your way to a sex addiction.
I feel like that's an extreme.
It is, absolutely, but you just
Oh.
got to be careful. Do it, don't abuse it. That's what it is. And then you'll be fine. And hopefully you'll have a couple orgasms on top of it.
That'd
Good
be
for
good.
you.
Now let's move on to, I guess, the lighter side of grief, which, we tend to forget, but it does exist. How did you all feel about Jordan gifting his husband that Ouija board?
Oh my God. I was so irritated at him. And I'm just like, please get out of my face. Because I would have felt the exact same way. Like, but I also understand it from his perspective of like, I have to make the best out of this. And, it is what it is. Yes, this is an insensitive, tasteless, poorly timed joke, but it is what it is. And I'm gonna do that shit anyway. Because what are you gonna do to me? Kill me? I'm dying. So yeah, I totally got it, and I understood his husband's reaction to it. Just like, let me walk away before I put my hands on you, and you already dying. So now I'm out here beating on a dying man. Let me get out of here. Both of them were very valid in that situation.
Very valid in there. Right.
I was very tickled by it.
I was just like, honey, who about to play with that? Who? Who? That was all I had. Who about to do that?
I agree. I agree with Erica because who is not playing with that? Baby,
I
no.
would have played with it.
Nah, see, I knew you was gonna play with it, but no, not I. You playing too much. Stop playing with me, man.
Of course, I would do it.
You playing too much?
You playing too much. I'm gonna go on ahead, go to the other room, give me a drink, come back, and tell me when y'all through with it. Then I come back.
You know what blew my mind was finding out that Ouija was a board game. And I'm like, okay, but what is the point of this? How do you win? It makes no sense.
I actually read a book.
Stupid.
I mean, yeah.
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 There's no discernible way to win. We're not even trying to get across the board. It's literally letters with a yes or no at the bottom. How do I beat y'all?
I mean, they ended up pulling them motherfuckers off the shelf because you were able to just kind of go into the store and buy it. But then if people started having so many weird experiences, they plucked it from them.
And it's so funny to me because I'm like, y'all know that like your mind is doing this to you for the most part. Like you're setting yourself up and then being like, the board did it. Buddy, that was you. You turned off the lights, lit the candles, called a group of your friends, and then decided that you were going to talk to the dead and just thought, yeah, no way this can go wrong. And then because, like, what? The curtains blew in the breeze, but you opened the window. Nothing's happening. Relax.
Oh God, I thought it was hilarious, honestly. I felt like it was one of those much needed breaks with humor that the book needed because we did just come out of Alex, chapter about his funeral and the different things and the grief and whatnot that they all experienced. And it just made me laugh so hard because it's like Jordy was taken aback, like, you have such audacity to give me this damn thing.
It was so funny.
I think that the author does a really, really good job of balancing out those parts in the book. That was something that I did notice. Like it'll give you a chunk of heavy, give you some funny, a little bit of heavy, a little bit of funny, and then the last of the heavy, and then a little bit of funny, and then we move on. You know what I'm saying? Like it never felt like the heavy was too long, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
Most definitely.
it gave you as a reader a time to catch your breath.
Yeah, yeah.
It gave me as a reader the desire to get a Ouija board.
Well,
Lord help.
we all experience books differently. I'm so
Lord help.
glad you are uniquely and wonderfully made. Like,
I just wanna start saying scope. Scope.
Scout.
Scope. Scope.
That was Alex's word.
mm,
Ooh, and a magic 8 ball. I would love to get one of those as well.
Oh, I loved eight balls.
Me too.
So fun.
Just for the nostalgia. That was my era.
I mean, that helped me make most of my decisions growing up. So yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like y'all, everybody asking Chat GPT.
That
I
part.
mean,
Hmm.
How
Most definitely.
ridiculous was it though? But you know what? My favorite thing was always when you asked it if you should do something incredibly stupid and it was like no, and you would just look around and shake that bitch again.
Most definitely.
Because first of all, I have decided to do this. And I just want you to support me, Magic 8 Ball.
It's just like when you flip a coin, right? Like the hope of what you wish it lands on, just go with that because that's what you want anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
no, I definitely agree with that. Like, just do it.
Go
Just
for
do
it.
it. Just go for it.
So after we have had our encounter with Alex's, actual funeral, right? And not his actual funeral because we didn't attend it, but after his funeral had taken place, we move into Marielle's. How you say this girl name?
I think it's Marielle.
I feel like it is, and I listened to
Even
the
though it looked
audiobook.
like Muriel.
I called her Muriel.
Because it looked like Muriel. The way it was spelled, I was like, oh, Muriel. But
Yeah.
Marielle, that's what they called it, lady.
I say Marielle. Like I could have sworn the audiobook was saying Marielle, but for some reason I want to call this lady Mariel so bad.
Because it's how it looks. That's how it's spelled. I don't. They could have spelled it any other way to make it Marielle.
Well, I
Ridiculous.
mean, it kind of is spelled Marielle because the ELLE gives that L.
But
L,
you
yeah.
got the Muri. The Muriel is still wrong.
Well, it's like Mary and
Fix it. Fix
Marielle.
it. Except, isn't it a U in her name?
It's an
Yeah,
A.
It's an A?
yeah, Marielle.
Marielle.
Ugh.
I just didn't read it. I listened to it. So I kept hearing Muriel because I had it fast.
Oh, I kept hearing Marielle.
Yeah, it's Marielle, but you
It's
y'all know who
unfortunate.
I'm talking about. So after we move out of the time frame of Alex, funeral and whatnot, we end up finding out that Mariel is the first person to invoke the pact. And we get to know her a little bit as well, of course, before she decides to invoke it. So we find out that 5 weeks after Alex's death, Marielle moves to DC. We also find out that she's also involved in politics because she was an intern for a senator in Oregon at one point. She ends up meeting a guy named Max at a museum, and they hit it off fairly quickly. And a few months later, Max and a very pregnant Marielle get married. Time goes on, Mia is born, and she looks absolutely nothing like Max whatsoever. So they already know that this is not his child. And he has a hard time connecting with Mia because of this fact. He does not leave, he sticks around because he feels like that's what he's supposed to do. It kind of causes this rift within their marriage and their connections and whatnot. But as time goes on, we find out that Mia is now 17 years old, and Max approaches Marielle and he's like, you know what? I want a divorce. 17 years of me sticking around was long enough. I feel like her being 17, it's a fair age for us to go ahead and call it quits. Mia is going through an old shoebox that she found in her mom's closet, and she comes across a picture of Alec in their college days. And she does ask her mom who that is. And it kind of pushes Marielle to invoke the pact. She ends up calling Naomi. Once she was over the confusion because she was like, Pact, what the hell are you talking about? But once it clicked, she asked no questions and she got on it and she started planning it. How did that all make you feel with the conversation between the two of those ladies?
Once Marielle had to bring it back up to Naomi about the pact, to see her say yes and start gathering everybody up and bringing them to the house on the beach side. I don't know what the name of the house is called.
Is it
It make
Sola V? Is that how you pronounce
Sola
it?
V, yes, Sola V. She took the bull by the horn and she ran with it and she said, "Okay, this is where we're gonna meet it, the date." To me, that's a good friend. We can pick back up. Yes, you had to bring some things to my remembrance, but to be able to gather everybody up and then we meet at a certain location to have this celebration, it was like, okay, you did great. You did awesome. I called upon you. You were able to help me get to what I need or get me to where I need to be, have my celebration. Bam. But I'm going to say this. We should have called the celebration right after that baby was born, a year after, and the features came in, and then call the pap because I need to know who's that pappy. I need to know who the pappy is.
The
Okay.
way you said that.
I need to know the baby pappy. That's what I need to do.
I's the pappy.
I think for me, I enjoyed the fact that their friendship, while distant, remained an actual friendship, that they have the ability to call on one another, and that they actually understand the importance of the pack. Even if for you don't believe in it, or if you think it's silly, you can still understand if someone's calling for this and like they just need us to come to their aid, then it's like that cry for help. It's the cry for help that you don't ignore. And a lot of us don't get the opportunity to know when our people need us, when they're crying out for help. So to have a system in place where you can call out for help and everyone knows this is not a joke, like I genuinely need y'all, and then those people show up for you, I think that's dope.
I agree with that.
I would like to have a system in place. Cause that's good. This is something we don't play about. We only call for each other in this way when we genuinely need each other.
Have like a code word.
Whenever I'm in the store with my mom or somebody I know and I can't find them, this is so bad, y'all. But I will let out the ghettoist caw.
So that reminds me, normally when you can't find someone, you say Marco, but everybody will reply Polo. So when Mason was younger, we did jumping. I say jumping, he'll say Jack. And we went trick or treating in Old Town. And it was just like, just a city street that's like closed off. And you go to all the houses and residents and stores that are there. And he got lost in the crowd. And I had been like reminding him the whole night. And my friends were like, girl, shut up. You ain't gonna need that. You ain't gonna need that. But I did. And I just kept yelling, jumping. And he was like far away, but he just kept going, Jacks, and was like jumping up like a popcorn, doing jumping jacks. And everybody, because they had been like, you kind of walk in this group. So everybody is like hearing the conversations around you or whatever. And so when I tell you the whole, everybody in the group was like, it worked. It was so crazy. It was so
Hmm.
crazy.
You need a signal with your people. I know introverts tend to do this too. If you came somewhere with somebody, we have to establish a signal beforehand. Because if I say this thing or I do this thing, that means it's time for us to get the fuck. And I need you to be prepared. It's time to go.
I love the cold words.
Hmm.
Yeah, like when I was go pick up the kids, like if somebody ever comes to get you, you'll know that I sent them because I'm gonna tell them our dog's name is Smokey. And you're gonna be like, but we ain't got no dog. Exactly, bitch. If they don't say our dog's name is Smokey, you don't get in the car. You know what I'm saying? Like I've always invoked that, and I don't know, maybe it was the teacher in me, maybe it was I don't know what it was, but it's always a thing with the crew.
Definitely. I do it because I'm paranoid. I need you to understand what I'm saying so that we can go. And I need you to also know that if you do not have your ass out of this establishment in T minus 10 minutes, I'm leaving without you.
Okay. After the phone call between the two women, Naomi gets to work. They all end up going back to Naomi's childhood vacation home, C'est la vie. We watch them all kind of come together and really figure out what they want to do and how they want to celebrate. Naomi and Craig, they're looking for the flowers. And then you have Jordy and Jordan. They're off, I believe, getting like fancy meats and cheeses and wine. And Marielle is just kind of sitting with herself, I believe, back at the house where she's kind of thinking about where she is in life at this point. It really stamped the type of relationship that they had, the underlying relationship, right? Like, no, we don't talk every day, but I'm here when you need me.
I think Marielle was around cleaning, trying to organize chairs, and they was like, "No, you need to sit down. This is about you. We do the rearranging and gathering and coming together as like we were family." Because that's like, no, it's not going to be right. The first funeral you're thrown into may not be right. You may not make the right decisions, but the second funeral, you'll be like, oh, it was all a learned style, but then at the same time, you're alive. Let us handle your service because we are celebrating you, not you celebrating us.
I think for me, I enjoyed seeing the evolution of the living funerals. The fact that she was the first one to have hers and it was all very higgledy-piggledy, that she didn't know what she needed from this, even though it was her idea, was very funny to me. It doesn't seem like she's a person who is cared for very often. She's more of a nurturing figure. And so for her to be put in that situation where you have to stop taking care of everyone else and really sit back and think of what you need and what is going on in your life that you had to call and get everybody together to kind of take care of you. I thought that that was dope because like it gave her that time and it also showed her that you do have people here who are willing to take care of you. You don't always have to be the nurturing one, the planning one who is in charge of everything. You do have those moments where you can just sit back and get in touch with yourself and other people will work everything else out for you because they know that you need it, not because, this is just what we do. No, you need us in this moment and we're going to be here for you. So it was nice. I thought their friendship showed beautifully. We haven't spoken in a long time. We don't 100% know what we need from each other or like what our lives are like now, but we're going to figure it out because we care enough to do so.
All right, so as we watch them all prep and prepare for Marielle's funeral, we get inside of her head a little bit and we kind of get an idea of what she's thinking. And it comes out that she really feels like she's inadequate when she compares herself to her friends because she really feels like she hasn't lived this life of different amazing experiences like the rest of her friends have. When it comes to the book, do you feel like it really portrayed that feeling that women get when they fall into that rift of motherhood and being a wife?
Yes, I could say that from being a single parent and dealing with the rift. Yes. Yes, because I do feel like I'm looking at my college friends, high school friends that are the same age as I am. I'm not where they're at. Yes, I do have a high schooler, Yes, I'm a single parent. I have to work. I'm still renting. I don't have my own home. I'm not married. Da, da, da. I feel like I am far behind than my fellow classmates or some of my colleagues. Does that hurt? Sometimes it do. But that's life. Life throws curves, speed bumps, you got potholes, but
Heavy on the potholes.
heavy on the potholes. Yes, most definitely heavy on the potholes. But we still will. She still prevailed. At the end of the day, yes, her husband wants to get a divorce. You're still going to survive. You still have a beautiful daughter. Hey, you already have possibly have a house. You may not have to do nothing but get alimony, but you can still go somewhere. Your life doesn't stop after this one situation. And that's what I love about this book. Even though each character has their own problems with the celebration of life, your friends that you don't speak to on an everyday basis or speak to every year or every month will come back. When you call that pack, y'all come back as one and you get to see what your friends see in you. They're going to tell you, this is what you've done for me. This is how you touched me when I was in such and such, or when I called you 2 years ago. This is what you mean, your life means to me now and even after.
Mhm.
That's what I loved.
Okay, I love that.
I think her story, just like when she decided to call everybody together, perfectly showcased what it's like to be a young mother and to be raising a person and hopefully helping them be their authentic self before you know who you are authentically. And then when, they're getting older and they're possibly leaving the house for college, to have to go back to that understanding of I've been a mom and a wife for so long that those are my only identity markers. I don't know who I am. I feel like that stretches outside of just being like a mom or a partner to someone. The fact that a lot of us get wrapped up in taking care of other people and other things, that when we finally take that step back and don't have to do that anymore, or choose not to do that anymore, we realize, damn, I don't know who I am. I have spent so long only being of use to people that now that that's not my thing anymore, I don't know how to be of use to myself because that was never the role that I gave myself. So it was interesting to see her go through that and to have to pick up the pieces of like, well, what do I like? What do I enjoy? What do I want to do with my life? What could I see myself doing for the rest of my life?
Mm-hmm.
Now that every day is not motherhood, every day is not being a wife to someone else. What do I want specifically? I always love those stories, especially for women, because women are raised and socialized to be caretakers to the point that so many women get to a point in their lives and they're like, damn, I don't know who I am other than this person's mama and this person's wife, this person's daughter, this person's employee. Other than being in the service of other people, I have no clue what my life is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start over. You be starting over at 40, 50, 60.
I think that's one of the reasons why I've never really subscribed to the idea that people are having midlife crises. I think that they are, really going back to enjoy the things that they can now because they don't have to be that other part. They don't have to be the mom as much as before, even if you're not lost, right? Like, even if you didn't lose your identity, you still change. Everything is changing, you're evolving. So, of course, you thinking about what else can I do at 50 because now you got more time behind you than you do ahead. And so you want to change all these things. But to agree, I think it was really well done.
I think so too.
Yeah, like it was really well done. Like I said, eye opening for me. It made me want to reach out. It made me be like, man. And I saw so much. I think it was Candace who said something about seeing like a piece of yourself in everyone. I saw a lot of myself in Muriel. just as like being the nurturer, trying to help, being a fixer in that aspect. And so it was really good for her to recognize when she needed a pick me up. And I think that's what a lot of them were so surprised about. Like, oh, what would you need it for? All right, you got it all together, but not knowing on the inside. So it kind of also reminds you of like social media and how people show you what they want you to see, but behind it, they getting their ass beat, they broke, they going to the food pantry, they, but you don't show that on social media. You just paint this picture. And so everybody has a picture that other people have perceived because you just have the stone wall up while you're out. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
When I read that part, it really resonated with me because I had got married young. I had just turned 20, like just turned 20 when I ended up getting married to my husband. And then I ended up getting pregnant at the age of 20. And then I ended up having my first child right after I turned 21. So it resonated with me because it is very easy to lose yourself, especially before you even gotten to know yourself. Like for me, I was so young, I didn't even know who I was yet. It like there was nothing for me to lose because I didn't have anything there. There was nothing there. I automatically became a wife and then I automatically became a mom so early in life. And when you have these different responsibilities, more so, I personally, for me, more so when you have children, not necessarily when you get married, because if you get married and it's just you and your spouse, you still have a certain level of freedom that you don't have when you become a mother. Because at that point, you have to pour into your kids. In the very beginning, this baby needs you for everything. And you have to pour yourself into this child until they get to a certain point, like, when they're a little bit older and a little bit more independent, you can kind of venture off and start getting back to yourself a little bit. And applause to the moms who can do that while the baby is in that newborn infant stage. Because, baby, I could not. I didn't even have the energy to open my eyes half of the days. I just understood how easy it was to really sit with yourself and be like, damn, is there more to life than this? There has to be more to life than this. And I need to get to know myself and really understand who I am as a person, not a mom, not a wife, not a sister, not a daughter, but as a person, as Danny. It just really opened up the floor for me to ask that question to myself as of right now. Like, who are you? And I was actually able to answer the question, which I was proud. Pat on my back. I have my own identity now, again. But yeah, it's very easy to fall into those roles and leave yourself behind as time goes on and time moves forward. You have these moments where you're kind of focusing on your children, focusing on your spouse. You do tend to look around you and you see other people moving forward in different ways, right? You see other people moving up in their careers. You see other people who may be graduating from college, or you see other people getting that job of their dreams, and you see all of these. You see this couple going on a vacation, and you just see all of these different moments happening around you, and you feel like you're standing still, and it really does kind of make you feel a way. It's a reminder that I'm sitting here while the rest of the world is moving forward without me. That's why they say comparison is the thief of joy, because I'm so focused on what everybody else is doing. I could also be using that energy while I'm looking at everybody else and saying, damn, they're so lucky that they get to do X, Y, and Z, versus me pouring into myself and trying to accomplish those things that I may want to accomplish. That's just my personal opinion for myself. I ain't speaking for nobody else out there. Yeah, it's very easy to get lost in the sauce of it all. I hope what I said made sense.
Made sense to me.
A whole lot of sense to me.
All right. When that scene takes place, they all start pouring into her because she does vocalize like how she's feeling. So her friends do come around her and they pour into her and they reassure her that you are a person, you are somebody, you're not inadequate. What do you mean? So I really did appreciate how they surrounded her and they loved her when she did vocalize those insecurities that she had. But please, let's move on and talk about this Ouija board scene. The Ouija board makes a comeback, and Marielle, for some reason, wants to pull it out and play with it. They recruit her and Jordan to use this Ouija board, and they believe they get in contact with Alec. During their little session with this board, it spells out Mia's name. So it kind of piques an interest in why her name was brought up on this board. So they actually want to see a picture of Mia because at this point they're all questioning maybe Mia is Alec's baby. So when they pull out this picture and everybody sees her and they're like, yeah, no, she don't really look like Alec like that. And they kind of all move forward. You get a moment where you see Craig's reaction and you could see that something pings within him. Nobody notices it.
Who's
We
that
pick
baby
up.
pappy? That's all I'm gonna say. Who's that baby's pappy?
But initially, when we got to witness that scene of the antennas going up, what did you all think in that moment? Like, did it confirm you the pappy?
Baby. He knew. He knew without a shadow of a doubt. That's that baby's pappy. But I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
I's the daddy.
I knew he was the dad, and I was like, finally, y'all figured it out. Y'all are not very bright.
Not very
I'm just like, I've been waiting on y'all to get here for a while. And I wasn't having sex with neither one of y'all, so where y'all been at?
Like, how dare it take you this long?
Right. Why are y'all so dumb? It's upsetting to me and my family.
Oh gosh. I thought that was, I mean, it was a confirmation, of course. Like he noticed something. Like it wasn't, of course, 100% in the moment confirmed, right? Like in the book, it wasn't, but we already knew what it was. But
Mm-hmm.
I did find it funny that his antennas went up like as soon as he saw that baby face, or even a piece of her face, because I think it had something in front of her face for the most part, like a text or something was in her face, so you couldn't really see her that well. But when he kind of focused, is like the antennas went up, and that shit made me cackle because it's like, yeah, bro, that's you.
But it's so obvious that she's at least suspected for a long time because she did not want to show them that picture, that girl.
No, she didn't. She was
And
fighting
it's
against
like,
it.
Marielle, you bitch.
Yeah, she was fighting against showing them that
Sneaky
picture.
ass bitch.
Mm-hmm.
She just
Like,
kept saying, it's not Alex's baby. It's not
it's
his
like,
baby.
yeah, we know it's not his baby, bitch, and so do you.
But who's the pappy? That's what I would like to know,
Craig.
boo. We know it's Craig, but I
Craig
want her
is
to say it.
is
Say
the
it with
baby
confidence.
father. Craig. And this is when I realized that Craig was black. And this is where my first problem with the thing comes in. Because you got the only black character. He's not only is he like a deadbeat dad, he had a random baby. Also, he dates women that are only a little bit older than his teenage daughter or his college age daughter. That's weird. And he's the only one that goes to prison.
I didn't get him. I didn't read anything that
Mm.
said he was black though. So
No.
I need to go back through it.
Anything that said he was black either. It's just his name. And when I looked at the cover, it looked like he might have been brown. Whereas he was like the only brown person because I had to zoom in, but
I think the brown one would be the one from Bogota, one of the Jordys.
Mm-hmm.
I have to look at the cover again. Is Craig not black then? Is he a white man named Craig?
He is a white man
Yeah.
Named Craig?
named
Yes.
Craig.
I rebuke that. They can't have that. That's ours.
Oh
I'm gonna look into it.
God. Either way it go, he realized he was the daddy.
Wow, a white man named Craig. Y'all, I'm looking at this cover, and that really is only two white men and one brown one. And I guess we're supposed to believe that that brown one would be, the Spanish one. But I'm like, I've seen more white passing Spanish people than I have seen white men named Craig. And this is never gonna sit right.
When I had read Craig, it reminded me of the discussion we just had with Opal and Nev when Erica had called that man top flight security.
Right. Right.
Yes, black.
I forgot I said that.
So I'm gonna accept it. Hey, at least he wasn't black.
I guess I'm advocating for it because he did so much other stuff right, and I wouldn't want him to get black people out of completely wrong, and I have to cuss him out. You know what I'm saying? Like, ugh.
Here is hoping. I'ma just go with what y'all said, and that is not a black man on the cover. That is a brown man on the cover, and I
That
will
is
just accept that. In Stephen Rowley's America, there are white men named Greg.
Craig. Craig. I'm gonna go with Craig and them. I really need y'all to go see Martin Line. She's so crazy.
I've seen that before
It's my favorite.
when I was a little children back then.
Okay.
Back when I ain't had no business watching it, probably.
So let's hop into Naomi's funeral because she is the next person to invoke the pact. We are introduced in her chapter. We find out that she's just recently lost her parents in a plane crash. She reaches out to Marielle to invoke the pact, which I thought that was so beautiful. It's like, hey, I reach out to you, you reach out to me. Like anyway, I thought that was cute. But she's trying to figure like, okay, well, where do you want to go? Do you want to go back to C'est La Vie? You know, the house that it all started in. And Naomi's like, absolutely the fuck not. So she wants to go to Mexico. So that's where they end up going. When they all come together, Naomi, she gets fairly lit, very much so lit. And her and Craig actually end up excusing themselves away from the rest of the group and they go into his room and they're just chatting, which I also really loved their interaction when he pulled out that bottle of tequila and she got so excited. She got so excited. And then they sat in the tub and they were just sipping on this tequila and just talking. During her drunken state, she picks up the phone and she calls the front desk and she tells them people, I want to fly. And there's a bit of a language barrier there because they're like, what? No, no flying. You know, so as Craig is trying to get this phone away from her, she ends up hanging up with front desk and they told her that they will be in contact in the morning with information about flying. They reach out to her and she has a hangover and the front desk is like, hey, we have this skydiving lesson. Y'all ready to go? We ready to do this thing. She regrets the fact that she even had this idea, but she refuses to back down because that's the type of person Naomi is. Very, would you all say bullheaded?
Strong will, determined,
Very much so that,
bullheaded. Mm-hmm.
for sure. She's afraid as hell, but she refuses to like back down. So she lets the rest of the group know that, hey, we're going skydiving. And even though they're opposing this thing, she don't give two shits. That's what they are going to do.
This is where you begin to see the evolution in the funerals because with Marielle, you kind of have a more passive experience of needing to be taken care of. But then you have Naomi, whose personality is wildly different. She knows what she wants, and all I need is for y'all to be here and help me get this shit done. So I really appreciated that. And also the fact that it is hilarious to me. It's some sort of irony that her parents die in a plane crash and then she's just like, so we're gonna be jumping out of an airplane. And this seems like a really smart decision for me. And it made me laugh so badly. And when everyone was like, actually, Naomi, we're not about to do that shit. And she was like, well, my funeral, my rules, bitch. Get your ass on this plane. And they had to get on the plane. And I love that because if we're having a living funeral for me, best believe I want to do what I want to do. And I want y'all to do it with me. So let's go ahead and get to. And I just enjoyed it. Like her scenes were my favorite. Like what you were talking about with them talking in the tub and just drinking in the way that friends do. Like we can just have these experiences. Hers was the first that was so visual in my mind. I could see everything that was happening in it. And I appreciated that. I did not enjoy Naomi as a person, but I did enjoy her as a character.
That makes sense. Like she tried to clarify it in the chat. She didn't want to go skydiving necessarily. She wanted to fly a plane. And and skydiving was the closest she was able to get to it. But the pilot was nice enough to let her fly the plane for a little bit. But then homegirl started breaking down and everybody started freaking out. And the pilot was like, what the hell? So it just threw everything off.
In for a penny, in for a pound. It was fantastic. Hers was the best funeral of all of them.
It
It
was
was the funnest for sure.
it was definitely very exciting. As they're going on this skydiving excursion, homegirl don't even jump out the plane. Like
And that will
everybody
be
else.
me. And that would be me.
I would have
Every-
jumped off first. Golly, I want to jump off something real high so bad.
oh God. But everybody else has jumped off already. Like she's the last man standing. And she decides she's not going to jump off this plane. And the plane ends up, of course, landing. I ain't gonna lie, Jordan was going through these different chapters, but we find out that Jordan's parachute didn't inflate like it was supposed to. So he was feeling some type of way, and she was feeling some type of way because in her mind, it's like, I made these people do this thing and I ain't even do it. Like, it was just a whole bunch of chaos going on. With this skydiving episode, how did you all feel about that entire excursion?
I like the idea of when you're sad, doing something to break up the monotony of that one note feeling. It's kind of like when you have depression, the hardest thing to do is to do something, but when you do something, it's so helpful to
Mhm.
get you out of that routine of just being sad and stuck in your sadness. I thought it was perfect. And it didn't go the way she 100% meant for it to go, but it did break her out of like that numbness that she was feeling and helped her to connect to the loss of her parents and for her to finally cry and really feel what she had just kind of been numb to for so long. I thought that was awesome.
To piggy a little bit back off of Mika, Naomi and the pilot, and he understood finally that she wanted to try to just steer, and she had the time of her life. And again, dealing with grief, dealing with feelings and trauma emotions, that break that made her feel good. She was able to live out her happiness at that moment. Once she realized the turmoil and whatnot, and she was wanting to jump, and she said, "No, no, no, I promise I won't touch it. I stay here." I can understand because I know I wouldn't be able to move or do anything either. When they all was meeting back down and Jordan was saying what happened to him, she had her breakdown because she felt like, oh, they're not going to care. They're all talking about the experience that they had. I didn't enjoy that experience, but then at the same time, we understood your trauma, your fear because you just lost your parents in a plane crash. So they allowed her to be human. It was a judge-free zone. We're talking about what we had fun. Yes, I'm ready to kill you because, you know, I about died myself. But at the same time, they all come back together as one and was able to talk about their experience. Everybody was talking about how Jordy was flirting with his partner that he had to jump out with. They were enjoying the moment. There we go again, love, cherishing us.
Okay.
I think a lot of the plane flying thing is because she finally had the chance to be in control. She felt like she was never, she never measured up and all of these things. She had all these insecurities and stuff. And so she was finally at a place where she was in control. She was no longer like muddled, I'll say, by what her parents wanted for her. And she was able to stand on her own 2 feet. So even though she didn't, it was a choice that she made because she wanted to make it. And I think that was really important. Another thing I thought was interesting is when she got down, she was almost jealous of the camaraderie and feeling like, am I going to be left out because of this? And like you all three have suggested, it it didn't. It still brought them closer. I did like it. It was very chaotic. I could see it all happening. I really like the style of the author once I was able to, get into it and get past the initial like, oh man, is this gonna be sad? But it wasn't. I mean, it was sad, but like I said, he masterfully added in those pockets of happiness. Like you said, a breath of fresh air, a moment to catch your breath, if you will.
100%. And just to bounce off of what you just said, that was like the theme that I picked up when it came to like the familial relationships, right? Because she really did have a really tough relationship with her parents. She did feel like nothing she did was ever good enough. She never reached the heights, or she felt like she never reached the heights of what her parents expected of her. I do agree that I think that with her during her funeral, she was able to kind of get to that point to where she accepted that she was enough. There was a point in the book where you kind of get an understanding of Naomi's inner thoughts when it comes to her relationship with her parents. And in the book, it says Naomi explained how after a time she was harder on herself for many of these things, internalizing her parents' disappointment. She sabotaged her year at Stanford in a kind of mental collapse. She didn't want her parents to have even one thing to be proud of if they wouldn't meet her halfway on anything else. She thrived at Berkeley, but it came with a cost, a deep understanding that she would never be the daughter they wanted. And yet, she held out hope that one day they would come around. These were just the awkward, transformative years where they would learn to relate as adults and soon would have the agency to reason with them, to explain her own self worth. And she lived with that hope that eventually she could make them see things her way. As long as they were out there traveling the globe, they might one day fly home to her. Instead, they flew off into the ultimate sunset, leaving their only child's hopes dashed in the wreckage. I feel like that was written beautifully. I really do enjoy his writing style. It gave a peek into how she really was feeling when it came to the relationship between her and her parents, and was the start of her shifting to accept that she was enough and she wasn't lonely, because there was a part in her chapter where she really did feel a little bit lonely because she's not married, she doesn't have kids, and now her only living family members are gone. I really do feel like you started seeing her shift that mindset of I'm not alone, I am enough, I've done enough. And I thought that that was a very beautiful thing.
I like that part too. I definitely identified with that part because you do hope that you'll reconcile with your parents when you're both old enough to know better, and sometimes you just don't get that opportunity.
Mhm.
And you, the person left standing, do have to reconcile with that. Like, you just have to decide that enough was enough eventually, and that you did everything that you could do, and you got what you got. It's not perfect, but it's yours, kind of thing. I appreciated that. I was happy for her. I'm glad she's not like walking around carrying that, because that's just heavy. That's a burden.
I agree with that.
Parental relationships are always very complicated. And because they shape so much of who you are and you want to live up to these expectations you may have felt that they had for you, or they've shown you, it's hard because you're always like measuring up. And for people who lost their parents early, or maybe not even early, but you always have that constant question of, are they proud? Would they be proud? Am I what they expected? Would they have wanted more? And so you can get on that perpetual loop if you're not careful. And I'm just glad, like Mika said, that she was really able to kind of let that shit go. Someone told me after my dad died, like, all family ain't blood and all blood ain't family. And you'll be better for doing that. And I've remembered it, and I stand by it. Which is why I love my friends so much the way that I do, because I do realize that while I may be a season in most people's lives, I want to be a soft place to land for you while I'm in that season, right? So, yeah, I thought it was really good. Well done.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. I have a whole lot of complicated relationships in my life, but the people that I have chosen have been some of the best relationships that I've had and continue to have. And I'm very thankful for that because I know who my people are, and I'm just glad that I found them and they found me.
I agree with everybody. Even thinking about our group, this is a found family. So what everybody said is so true. I can't say anything else because it will be repetitive. But yes, I agree.
All right. After Naomi's funeral, we step into Craig's. Craig is,
White,
well, I guess shit. I don't know. I can't. I didn't even. I did not even speak on that because I'm like I don't know.
potentially.
I don't know what he is.
I have now relabeled him as a white man named Greg. In my brain, I hear it that way every time now. So sorry, continue.
He's pretty much like a. Is it like a art dealer type situation? I don't know.
Yes.
I think so.
I was gonna say he does something with art, like he buys and sells art. Like I think he goes out, he finds these paintings, and he sells them or something like that. I'm not quite sure exactly how that goes. It was explained in the text, but listen, my brain is tired.
Like an authenticator, so someone who can tell you if art is authentic to the time period and like to help you understand like is this real art? Did it come from the actual time because of the way that paint and techniques have evolved?
Mm-hmm.
So he can help you with that too. Now that I'm thinking about it, this is a wealthy white man's career. just,
But
just put one in the column for white.
are we taking ticks to figure out what he is?
I am.
Oh.
I don't know what we doing, but I'm keeping my head on a swivel.
Okay. Well, as we get into Craig's chapter, we find out that he's actually in a bit of a legal mess. He is being accused of committing fraud.
You going to jail? Come and knock on my cell. I'll be going to jail. 'Cause I'm going to jail. Don't drop the soap.
He established credibility for a fraudulent painting, right? With these paintings, a lot of money is being thrown around. So when that took place, all the fingers pointed to him. And he was actually willing to plead guilty to this situation because he really didn't know how to handle it per se. And in that moment of him just kind of spiraling a little bit, he ends up giving Marielle a call and he just says one sentence: I fucked up. And Marielle is kind of like trying to understand what exactly he's talking about. And then that's when he clarifies that he feels like he fucked up at work at the gallery. They end up getting off the phone, and as time goes on, all the friends pop up. Mariel is the one who invokes the living funeral on his behalf. And in that moment, he actually didn't want that. But when he realized that they were there and they were there to fucking stay, he was trying to figure out what he wanted to do and where he wanted to go. And so that's when they once again start scrambling, trying to figure out what they want to do for his living funeral. They land on going on this day cruise or whatever. How and never, they're not sober. I believe it was mushrooms that they
It
had
was.
taken. So everybody's like, except for Naomi, because she is sober now. Like she decided that after her funeral. I forgot to mention that earlier, but she's the only one who's not under the influence of anything. And she's trying to guide them to get through this line to get on this cruise. They end up having Craig's funeral on the boat. And when he pulls out this small jar, they're trying to figure out what this jar is. And it's actually ashes of an old painting that he made back in college. He wants to scatter those. How did you guys feel about the whole boat scene? Because I thought it was hilarious. It was the paranoia that was funny and them making fun of old boy name. It was so childish, very college like behavior. And I really enjoyed that part.
I
I'm
thought it was funny too. You think about, you get with these college friends, you are all going through your own part of life and you're all stressed and you're like, ooh, I ain't did this in a long time. Let's try it. And so it was, I don't know, I think it was that needed comedic relief. I mean, kind of realistic if you ain't never took no shrooms before and you just seeing, oh, I saw a bear come out the painting and oh my God, I'm scared. Let's lean up against the wall to be safe. So I mean, I've never done shrooms or anything, but I just thought it was pretty interesting the way that they handled it.
Taking that serious moment and then incorporating humor and then bring back your youth. Like, dude, yes, we're up in age, we make dumb mistakes, but we can still have fun and celebrate again life. Live, love, and celebrate life through the ups and downs because
And
life doesn't come with instructions.
you ain't wrong about that. And if you need shrooms to help give you a little bit of relief, then hey. But I do agree that I think that that entire scene was funny because it was much so needed. Because early in his chapter, when his friends do come and, gather around him, Naomi has this bright idea of taking him to this guy. I believe his name is Tough or something like that. And Tough is supposed to give Craig lessons on how to survive in prison. And I don't really know how. I don't really understand. What? Whatever. Naomi, she built different, but I do agree that it was a really fun time to give us that break that we needed, knowing that homeboy getting ready to go put on some silver bracelets.
Yeah, dude named Tough definitely has probably been to prison or could end up there at any point for the copious amount of drugs that he does and or sells. I just have a feeling about that. He was probably my favorite character in the chapter. This one really was so, it was like probably the most forgettable, and Craig kind of suffered as a character for me because I forgot about him a lot. And I forgot about his chapter a lot. I didn't remember that they were on shrooms until you said something. And I'm just like, there was a boat. I promise you, I remember that boat. I do remember Tough as an abstract concept, but not 100% as a character. Like, I know he existed, but did I see him? I thought he might have been some type of drug induced fever dream. I don't know. I don't know where I was. I'm not going to blame the author 100% because I think I might have just been elsewhere mentally, maybe.
That's understandable. When it came to Craig, I feel like I got to know him more during the chapters of everybody else with these interactions that he had with each and every one of them individually, like with him and Marielle having their interaction, their one-on-one time in her chapter, and then him having that moment with Naomi in the bathtub with the bottle of tequila. Like I feel like I got to know him more so through the eyes, well, not the eyes, but with the scenes that didn't take place in his chapter.
I wholeheartedly agree with that because I don't remember his chapter at all, but I do remember him in other people's
But
chapters.
that's what I mean. You get so much through the indirect characterization, right? Like he did a really good job because if you really think about all of the chapters, you learn more about the other people in the other chapters more than you do in their chapter. You hear more about how they were when they were younger, how they handled things. Like they give you the expository, like with Muriel's thing, but you learn more about how she handles things later on in other people's chapters by the way she continues to show up, by the way Naomi continues to try and wrangle everything and get things in place. So yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I really liked him. I did really like him as a character because even though he said a lot of stupid things, which he did, he would say a lot of stupid things in different chapters of other people, but ultimately you can really kind of get an idea of his heart. Like he was always there to offer some level of comfort in a way that others may not have been able to. Like Naomi and Craig's interaction, when he pulled out that bottle of tequila, that was a surprise for her because before that scene of them kind of going off into his room by themselves, they were all hanging out and they were all drinking, and Naomi wanted more alcohol, and they were like, maybe you've had enough. Let's go on and send you off to bed. And then that's when she ends up in Craig's room and he pulls out the bottle and he was like, the night don't have to end. It's kind of like he showed up in ways that they needed him to.
I agree.
Yes, he was a very dependable friend, but I also felt like he had an old soul too.
I mean, they're not young.
Yeah, but you could still have an old. No, even in his younger years, when they talked about when you see more of Craig at the beginning of the book, because I felt like he was just very mature for his age. And I guess that could be the artsy side of him. I don't know, which could have landed him into jail. But anyway, I felt like he was an old soul.
I really felt like he was I felt like he was the observant friend. And also the person who is going to do what you need or what you feel you need versus what I feel you need. So like with Marielle, you need some D, I'm gonna drop off some D. With Naomi, you need some tequila, girl, I got you. Even though maybe you don't need to be having sex with a random guy right now. Like, maybe that's not the best thing. And maybe you don't need any more alcohol than you have already had. But if that is what you feel you need in this moment, who am I to tell you that that's not what you need? You can make choices and handle the consequences of your actions. And I'm just your friend who's here to help you facilitate some shit, not judge you or tell you, don't do that. And I did appreciate that because, we're all grown. I'm going to do what I want. Do you want to come along or not? And he sure did come along. And inside.
Why?
You know I'm nasty.
Oh God, just why?
I'm so sorry.
Okay. Well, since we are sitting up here and we are expressing our different perceptions of Craig, let's also add messy into that situation because
Mm-hmm.
Craig lets it come out and he lies in the beginning. He's basically like, I had this dream and Alec came to me and he just said that Jordy would know. You need to ask Jordy. And when he says this out loud, they're like, well, why would he say your name in this dream? And then that's when it comes out that Alec confided in Jordy about being HIV positive. When Marielle gets, rightfully so, she gets upset about that secret being held on for so long because her and Alec were an item at that time, and she kind of goes off to have her moment. Somebody asked, I can't remember who it was, but somebody asked Craig, like, did he really come to you in a dream? And he was like, hell no, he didn't come to me in no dream. I just overheard Alec on the phone. I just wanted to say it. So he was messy as well. Like, yeah, he was observing like a mother. You know what? That confirms he was an observant friend. He was very much so he was,
Yep,
yeah.
definitely. It's always the observant ones that know where the bodies are buried, and a lot of the time they don't say something. But when they do, just know it's about to be Hiroshima in here. I have to blow some shit up, okay? It's just funny. I did find Craig very funny for his very messy.
Messy boo. How did you all feel when that came out?
I was irritated at Marielle for being so irritated at Jordan, whichever.
Jordy. It was Jordy.
Okay, I was irritated at her being so irritated at him, even though I did understand it. I think the thing that irritated me is like, I'm definitely a secret keeper. So if you tell me something, it's safe with me. I'm not going to tell anybody. And like, if somebody were to get mad at me about that, it would piss me off because, like, I don't owe you anything. Right. But I guess at the same time, that kind of a secret could have affected her health. And I do understand it, but like, being mad about it after all these years just seemed like a petty waste of time to me. Because you clearly don't have it. You've been to the doctor however many times. You would know if you had it. You would know if like it had affected your baby or anything like that. And I do understand being angry. I just don't understand being that angry. And also, like, at the same time as you're grieving, you can't overlook the fact that I'm also grieving. And maybe I'm not centering you in my life while I'm grieving my friend. So, like, maybe pump your brakes a little bit. I don't know. That just, it irritated me. I wish he had told her just because she was sexually involved with that man, and I understand that. But also I wish you would give him some grace because you're not the only person who was hurting, and he probably wasn't thinking of you front of mind. You are not the center of my life. Maybe I had my own things going on, like figuring out I'm kind of in love with one of my best friends and trying to figure out if we're going to be together, if not, if one of us is going to move to be with the other one, like what kind of life we're going to have. Like, you're not the center of everything. And I wish that you would not act like you are. That just irritated me. But I understand both perspectives. I just didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, it confirmed that Alex probably committed suicide.
Oh, yeah, I thought he committed suicide too.
Yeah, because I know that was like a kind of a debate. Like, did he overdose on purpose? Was it an accident? Yeah, I know they were struggling with that in the beginning.
I think hearing that was the final piece to confirm it for me. You know, I'm always looking for evidence to support any theories that I have. And that was a piece of evidence that it was like, click because he was young, he was free, he was doing what he wanted to do. And now it's like, damn, I done did so much. Like you realize the error of your ways, the mistakes that you make when you're in the throes of addiction, and you still have to live with those consequences. And he felt like, or probably, or could have felt like, dying is the only way to go. And so it was definitely confirmation for me in my fan theory.
Also, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't this the 80s when he died?
He died in the 90s. He died
In
in
the
Okay.
90s,
95.
the
So
early
like
90s.
so it was late 80s, early 90s, and it definitely makes sense for him to kill himself because around I mean, like, I don't think it was right or wrong. I think it was his choice and he can do whatever he wants to do with his life. But around that time, getting HIV and potentially getting AIDS really did feel like a death sentence. So it was more like, I'm not waiting for a cure, I'm waiting to die.
Yeah,
And
because it was 95 when all this was going on. So yeah, it was very much so.
yeah, so I think that makes a ton of sense to just be like, even people now who have it who were alive then say, like, they say things like, I don't know how I made it when so many of my friends didn't. Like, it's a wonder that I'm here and they're not,
Mhm.
because most of the time you got that sentence and that was the end for you. Like, there was no, there was no other side for a lot of people. So it makes a lot of sense, and that it's just is sad. It's so sad the way that was handled, but I appreciate that it was in there and that he didn't get it from gay sex, which, was a terrible stereotype at the time.
Mhm.
I don't like that he got it the way he got it, but I do appreciate, whenever it's highlighted that it is like through the blood. So it really
Right.
doesn't matter
Like
how
it
you're
has.
swapping them things. Once you swapping them, the potential is there.
Right. Like I agree with what you just said as far as it shined a light on other ways of being able to contract this virus.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with that as well.
Poor baby. I feel bad for him.
I agree with everything that you guys have said about that. Before we move on from him, I just want to point out my absolute favorite part, my very, very favorite part of this whole book. And it took place in Craig's chapter. Everybody's kind of hurting in their own way, right? Because of course they learned this new thing about their friend that they didn't know before. But they're on the boat, and Jordy, he feels guilty for keeping this secret away from Marielle or whatever. There's a moment when Jordan is trying to comfort Jordy. Jordy was like, I told a lie. And Jordan said, you kept a secret. That was different. He and it said this part right here. This shit had me cackling out loud. I rewind. First of all, I was listening to it with the audiobook. I rewound this part 3 times because it made me laugh that fucking hard. But that part when he tried to hug Jordy and homeboy struggled to raise his arms because of the shrooms he took, he felt like his arms were like paralyzed. It said they hung limply by his side, so he flailed them around like a muffet. What is wrong with my arms? That shit had me weak.
And the way that he made him sound when he did it.
Yes,
It was very hilarious.
that had me in tears. Do you hear me? I was in tears because the audio book. If you want to listen to this, like read this book, I highly suggest the audio because that part alone made it worth it.
There's
Most definitely.
also the whole part of them like on that boat while they high as hell on the audiobook is hilarious. Like, do you think you gotta get back, get back against the wall? I could see it.
There's just certain places I would never do shrooms, and it's pretty much anywhere that's not my house. Because, like, I can't imagine the way I would feel if I'm high in a new way on a fucking boat that I cannot get off of. It is, I can smell the disaster. Like, it's not going to end well for anybody involved. I would never do that. No. If I'm gonna try some new shit, I'm gonna try it at home. I need familiar surroundings.
No, for real. And you knew they was gone because they was looking at that boy. His name was like Peter B. And then they were like, oh my God, his name spells perturbed. Like,
I heard, and I was like, y'all cannot be serious. Y'all have crossed the line from like just high enough to entirely too high, and it's so quick. That's a thin ass line.
big facts. That was so funny. That whole, I swear. So I have to return this audiobook. It's due in like 3 days, but I swear I want to listen to Craig's chapter all over again just for that boat scene.
Perturbed did make me laugh because I was like, that's not what that says.
Yeah, I would like to because I was trying to hurry up and finish it. I was listening a little faster, so I would listen to it slower. Cause I'm telling you, they was high as shit. It was hilarious.
Looking at the Statue of Liberty. Why is she green?
She has spikes out of her head.
I had a good time with that part of the book. Yeah, hands down favorite part.
Craig's chapter was absolutely the silliest. It was the silliest for sure.
Oh yeah, hands down. Um, After we leave Craig's chapter, we go into it's kind of like a full circle moment, right? Because the book then picks up to where it started in the very, very beginning when Jordan summoned everybody together to kind of let them know what was going on. And we kind of go into, and I'm gonna just say it's Jordan's slash Jordy's funeral. Like it's both of them combined in a way. During the conversation between Jordy and Jordan, he realizes that Jordy has not had his living funeral yet. The pact does not end until every single person has had their turn to have their living funeral. Once everybody has had their turn, the pact is pretty much done at that point, it's complete. And Jordan, he realizes that he is getting closer to him passing on, and Jordy will be a widow. And he really wants to ensure that Jordy has that support system of his friends. So he comes up with this idea of, you know what? This won't be my funeral. We're going to turn this into Jordy's living funeral because once Jordy has his and I don't have mine, the pact can never end. So it kind of he comes up with like this plot hole. Not well, he finds like a loophole, not a plot hole, a loophole within this agreement of the pact, right? Which I thought was kind of cute in its own morbid way. But
Mm.
they come together and Jordan actually pushes Jordy to enter into this swimming competition. And it's a really big type of competition. Basically, you have to swim from the island of Alcatraz back to the shore. And Jordy is a little bit hesitant when it comes to that because dude is in his 50s and he's like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to handle any of that at my big age of 50, whatever. But his friends do rally around him and encourage him to do it, and he does it. As he is having this experience, he he realizes that there is a shark swimming beneath him in the water. And he doesn't know exactly necessarily what it is. He just sees this shadow and he's like, what is that? But he's so wrapped up in this moment of this competition and he's focused on getting to the end of it, right? To prove to himself that he's still this swimmer because in his college days he was a swimmer. So it's kind of like this reminder of who he was, right? So the question that I want to ask, what do you all think about Jordan summoning everybody for him per se, but then switching it and giving it to his husband Jordy?
Beautiful. He was thinking of his significant other instead of himself. He wasn't being selfish. He was thinking about his love being able to carry on and continue on without him. And then also letting him see that, yes, you may be up in age, but you still can prevail. You can continue on without me. I will be cheering you on from way off, on the shore, but I'm going to be there no matter wherever you are. And that's how this is where I boo-hooed this part right here because it made me think about my sister. Okay, yeah, I'm here physically. You're you're gone in the heavens, enjoying eternal life, where I'm here on earth trying to figure out what is my new day to day. How am I going to make it? When I come to the house and I feel nothing but your presence. How am I going to sleep? How am I going to be able to do this, that, and the third? So to see Jordy give up his pact and give it to Jordan in that part was just a wonderful scene, especially if you're dealing with grief. How Stephen wrote that part was beautiful. And with the humor that I needed, the humor, the laugh, yes, the sharp part, but it was just well written.
I definitely felt like it was lovely. It was my favorite part of the book. This whole section, their love stood out to me. It was like seeing two people and really watching them and just understanding how much they know each other, like how well they have gotten to know each other over the course of their lifetime, and also the fact that they got a real love story that may not have been the longest. And they definitely didn't get the ending that they wanted, but they got a real love story where I know you and you know me, and there's nothing that I wouldn't do for you despite knowing your flaws as well as I know, like every good thing that there is about you. I just enjoyed that part so much. When he was swimming, I thought that was dope because he was realizing that even as my husband is dying and he is losing his strength, and it feels like it's happening to both of us, there is still strength in me, there's still resilience in me. I am still the person that I was even without him. I will continue to be who I am even when my husband is gone. And I think that's a beautiful thing to know when you lose someone, is that losing them does not mean you lost yourself. It's a new version. You may have to learn to do things differently, to experience things differently, adjust to life where they might have been by your side for a bunch of things and now they're not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it just felt like reaffirming that he is exactly who he thinks he is. And he will continue to be even when his husband is gone. And for his husband to give him that and to want that for him, I thought was just so beautiful because I know what you need. And I know you won't give it to yourself because you're so busy thinking about what I need.
Mm-hmm.
Your focus is on me, and my focus has to be on you, even though I'm dying, because I love you as much as you love me. And I want to take care of you as much as you want to take care of me, even though I can't do very much right now. Like even him looking for his husband when the race was coming to an end, he could barely like move very quickly. I really wish they had a wheelchair for my boy, but he was determined to get to him and find him and make sure that he was okay. Even on death's doorstep, y'all, the love was in the room. It was so beautiful. And I cried throughout the whole chapter just because that's the kind of love story I like, where it's real, it's thoughtful, it's not this like glamorized thing of, oh, everything's perfect and I think you're just the greatest thing. Like they fought about things
Mm-hmm.
even through loving each other. It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, especially with the fact that you're dying, and I'm pissed off about that. And I'm also pissed off about the way that you're handling it because I don't want you to handle it that way. But I respect you enough and I love you enough to honor your wishes if this is what you want, even though I'm like, we both know I don't want this shit. It was amazing. That was the first moment where I was like, this nigga can write. Wait a minute. You're telling me this is the book I could have had all along? And you got me with the rest of these people?
Now, why would you do that?
Oh God.
So yeah, it was great. This is my favorite. This is my absolute favorite chapter. If I was gonna listen to something else, it would be this chapter, just over and over and over again, because the love was in the room. I felt it. It filled me up, and I was so happy to be there.
I love that.
I felt it. I felt it coming because of the way the relationships were built up. I knew they needed to carry on. I knew they weren't done being there. So I was like looking for the way out. And so when it happened, I was like, boom, bet, gotcha. Gotcha. So I really enjoyed it. It was a really, really good chapter. Like I definitely will listen to this portion of the book over. Because he did the act, the third act, fourth act, and the closing act. It was just really well done.
It's really, really hard. And I'm talking to, of course, the three of you along with the listeners, but it's really hard to talk about everything that took place in this book because, like Erica was saying, you have these different moments where where each character is sprinkled in a little bit with every single section of this book. So it's really hard to kind of like talk about it as a whole without it feeling like you jumping around all over the place. But I really enjoyed the sprinkle of Jordan throughout the entire text of the book because he was very present in every single point of the book. And I said it earlier, like he was going through it because, there were highlighted moments of him going through these different things with these people. Jordan was another character that I really, really loved because we have to remember that all of these experiences that he was having, minus the very first one with Alec and him passing away, all of these other experiences are taking place while he's battling cancer and he's knocking on death's door and he's showing up for his friends, and at the very very end he really shows up for his husband. And not only that, he rallies the rest of the friend group together while Jordy is currently in the ocean swimming, but he rallies around the other friends and he pulls them together. And in the book it says, Jordan gathered his friends around him. Promise me you'll be there for him after I'm gone. He scanned their eyes to make sure he had their attention. I want you to cheer him on always like you have today, even if, even when he meets someone else, because he deserves nothing less. They mumbled their agreement, but to Jordan, that wasn't enough. Pacts for them must be clearly defined and spoken. Promise me. We promise, Marielle said. You be happy for him and know that I will be too. I thought that that was a very beautiful moment. That was him kind of giving them permission to allow him to live a life after I am gone because he deserves that shit.
Girl, I got tears in my eyes right now.
That's yes. I mean, that made me think about what seeing my father take care of my mother when she had brain cancer. And when I said this man stuck beside her through death, do them part, to see my dad take full control and love her and treat her like she was, I mean, it was beautiful. And the way Stephen wrote it, it brought back those memories.
Yeah, I think he wrote this very, very well. And I think it was the closing that we needed to realize that that love, even with all of these different shenanigans that took place, right? And all of the messiness and all of the drama and the grief and the hurt and the pain, I love that Steve closed this book out with love. Pure, unconditional love, sacrificial love, supportive love. It just was a beautiful way to close out such a heavy topic of this man is going to die. So I had a great time with with the story for sure. And of course, after Jordy's chapter and him with this race, we get to the point where we pretty much read Jordan's eulogy. He has finally succumbed to his illness. in the middle of that, it expresses the type of person that he was and how influential and important that he was to a lot of people. And in the very end, Jordy basically expresses that if you want to honor my husband, tell the loved ones what positive impacts they have had on your life, because you never want to be left for them to guess. And he basically says, he speaks for Jordan beyond the grave, pretty much saying that he promises that you won't regret doing that thing. How did you guys feel when we finally got to like that obituary part of the book?
I felt satisfied. It's rare that at the end of a book, I actually feel like the ending justifies the book or that it supports the book in a lot of ways. And despite everything that I felt like was tedious in the book, the ending I think was perfect. I feel like it just works. You know, it's not this big emotional thing after the big emotional thing. Like you have that chapter of like Jordy and Jordan, you have their chapter and it's so powerful that there really is nothing left to say. We know that the friends are still in the world rooting for each other, caring for each other, hopefully getting together and, you know, being there and being part of one another's lives and expressing their emotions for each other, just so that you know, no matter where you are or who else is with you, somewhere in the world, somebody loves you, right?
Mhm.
And then you have his eulogy. You have that for him. And I just thought it was perfect. I was like, this is how you close out a book like this. And I don't know, I didn't need anything else from it. I felt like this is exactly how it was supposed to go. I can end this book and not feel like, damn, that was disappointing. It was really good. It was the perfect way to end it for me.
Stephen,
Girl.
he ended this book. He ended the book. He put a nice little bow on the book. It doesn't need anything else. The things that he brought up about the pack, about the group were mentioned or hit on, and then to end that beautiful love story, it was just beautiful. Very well said.
I think it was really, really, really well done too. I think that he showed the fact that relationships can grow and that the realistic aspect of it is it's gonna hurt, but you have to move on. And so as much as you want to be like, don't go with nobody else, I want you to, but why would you want your partner to suffer like that? And I think that the least selfish thing that is so selfless, and it showed that they had been together their whole life, and he was like, I don't want you to live the rest of your life not knowing who you could be without me also. Like, because I heard you, right? Like, even though it just came out in a fit of anger, I also heard you. And so I think that that was really it was endearing.
I love that. That concludes what I had to bring to the table as far as the discussion goes. And we are going to move into our section called No Topic Left Behind. And this is when I open the floor to you, wonderful ladies, so that you can express or talk about anything that we may have missed throughout the discussion previously.
The only thing that I will say is that I really wish that the book had been the Jordans and them other people. I think it would have been so well done because I feel like the other characters, they weren't written in a way for like emotion. I didn't feel an emotion other than anger or annoyance until we got to the Jordans. And it was like even their little snippets, the very short chapters in between all of those bulky ass chapters. There was so much emotion in them. And I immediately could connect. And I was like, well, why can't I connect to anybody else? And in the reviews, I kind of saw that a couple other people had a very similar problem, that
it was just difficult to connect to the other characters, not to be entertained by them, because I was entertained by them. I just didn't feel a connection with them. And it took me a while to realize what was bothering me about the book. And it's like, oh, I'm not connected to anybody but the Jordans and Alec a little bit, but that's only because he's not there to be infuriating like the rest of them. So I wish that the book had been predominantly the Jordans and then give those smaller moments to the rest of the cast, because I think I would have personally loved the book more if it had focused on the two characters that it feels like Stephen Rowley had the most connection to, because I feel like he wrote them in the most empathetic way.
Mhm.
But other than that, I think if we, and I know if it had been that way, it would have been a 5-star book for me, because their parts were 5 stars every single time. It was just the rest of the book where I was like, I would get the rest of y'all 1 star, I promise you. You get 1 star on Yelp, bitch. I don't like y'all.
I would actually highly recommend this book um, for a person that is dealing with recently either lost a loved one or dealing with grief. First of all, I would most definitely do that. That's the serious topic. But if you didn't catch who the baby pappy was, I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all know. The baby pappy was Craig. That baby's pappy was Craig. I wasn't gonna leave y'all on that wondering mess. Want to let you know, Mia's daddy's name is Craig.
That
A white man named Greg.
You know what? I just want to let y'all know who the baby pappy was or is.
And I just want to let y'all know that he white.
Oh God.
I just wanted to go back. I know I started when I was talking about it, but the last chapter when they're talking about Jordy, when they're doing the funeral, and he said that line about that light, like you light everybody's candle, and even though I don't have the Dharma book that I think it was Craig's, like I don't have the Dharma book that so and so would have had, but the one candle can light 1,000 candles and it doesn't dim their own light. And it really, 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 really resonated, because I always, always say that people come to me in their darkest. And that line just really summed it up for me. And I just had this whole like explosion, because I'm not dimmed. I can be drained. I can get lower, but it doesn't dim me at all. And it was just really reassuring. And I just wanted to thank Mr. Rowley for that moment. It was really profound, and it's funny how just one line can really just you hear it differently in a day, but it really did, and I liked it. So thank you for that.
Nice. I guess the one thing that we didn't get the chance to talk about that I thought was actually two things. The first thing is I really enjoyed the interaction between Craig and Mia when they finally met each other. And I really liked Mia as a character. I thought that she came across as very sweet. Like, you know, so I really had a good time when they finally interacted with each other and they were kind of like joking with one another. Like it was an easy connection, a natural type of connection. And based off of him finding out that this is his daughter and him wanting to kind of make up for those years that he lost, which I will also say that that's one thing I did not like about Marielle, because at the end of the day you took this experience away from him, you know what I mean? So, but I'm not gonna get too deep into that. But
We hate Mariel.
but I really did enjoy that. And I enjoyed that he's actually trying to make choices, because after he serves his sentence, which thanks to his friends, they rally around him, they get him a better lawyer. He only ends up having to serve about, I believe it's about 7 months out of a 10-month sentence. So he's out fairly quickly. And after he gets out, he's like, you know what? I want to have a brand new start. And how do you feel about me visiting Oregon and spending more time with Mia and all these things? So I really did like that interaction and that type of that choice that he made at the end for that. I also wanted to touch back on Alec again, because we kind of mentioned him here and there, but like I said, he was very present throughout the entirety of this story. He was mentioned every single chapter of this book. And when you actually kind of learn more about Alec as time goes on, and I think that the characters also kind of get to know him a little bit better, because there was a moment when it came out about his, his status. They kind of were talking about how much of a player he really was and how he laid with all these different people and blah blah blah. And then I believe Jordy, it was either Jordy or Craig, I can't remember which one of the two, but they confessed, hey, he really didn't get around as much as you thought. He never corrected you guys about it because he thought, of course, it's like a badge of honor, right? Like, I'm knocking down all these people, but he really wasn't like that. So I think that we really do get to learn different things about Alec along with the characters. And I thought that that was really cool and a fun experience. But yeah, I think that's all that I have when it comes to that. In conclusion of this discussion, I just want to say that we are, of course, the Dark Side Book Club, and we tend to dibble and dabble in a lot of different genres. And if you are interested in joining the book club, I'm going to put the details of that right here. If you want to join on Instagram, you can reach out to one of these accounts. So the book for July for the Dark Side, it will be The Payback by Kashana Cauley. And then for the Core 4 book, we will be reading A Mastery of Monsters. I don't know who that's by.
By LaSalle Sandberry.
There you go. So if you would like to join us on that journey, please let us know. And we will see you all next month for our next Core 4 discussion. With that, I bid you all adieu. Say bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.